The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go on to the chia pudding. Okay, and we're doing it 3 ways. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the base recipe. Now the base recipe consists of cashews, water, maple syrup, vanilla, pinch of salt, and of course, chia seeds. Now I hemmed and hawed over whether I should do cashews in here or just go with some kind of milk. I ultimately decided to do the cashews just so that you know, but you do not have to soak cashews ahead of time. You can just buy your milk of choice and add it directly to the chia seeds and gel up that way. So it's on my recipe, step 1, that can be omitted entirely. So if you want to save time, that's cool. What I like about the cashew milk is that it's a whole food, right? We soak the cashews so they're nice and soft. We're blending them and we're not straining anything out, right? It's a whole food. So let's do that. Right in my blender, this is a cup of cashews that I've been soaking, and you can soak them for a couple hours. It doesn't have to be exact. To that, now for chia pudding, I find that the ratio of chia seeds to the liquid, I like 3 to 1. Some people do 4 to 1 because they like it a little thinner. Experiment, you do it, what feels good to you, whatever texture is most appealing. When doing a blender version, don't add all the liquid at once. We have 3 cups of liquid total, but initially I'm only going to be adding approximately 1 cup. Now the reason for that is because what I have found is that if you add a ton of liquid to a blender and you only have a little bit of stuff, what happens is the little bit of stuff doesn't get blended properly. It's just like there's like a little chunks floating around. So by reducing the amount of liquid, the blender can work better. Okay, so we just made cashew milk, amazing. So I'm going to add the rest of so again, we're using 3 cups total water. I'm going to add, it's about the remaining 2 cups directly to my blender. The next thing I'm going to do is, let's see here. Again, we're working on the base recipe right now. I'm going to add in, you can use your own good judgment and your preferences on this, either 2 to 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. And for that, you can substitute a sweetener of your choice. If you want to just use sugar, if you want to use honey, if you want to use dates, you can do that. I really like the flavor of maple syrup, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to pour it directly into the blender. One nice thing about using maple syrup is that it's liquid. So you're not going to get like a grainy, sugary texture. The other thing I'm going to do is a teaspoon of vanilla. Got that guy right in there. And of course, a pinch of salt. And I'm just going to give it instead of, well, I should probably stir it, right? Okay, I stirred it. Working on my arm muscles, Grace, Okay, friends. So I'm actually, I'm going to make it in my measuring cup because I'm then going to divide it and make 2 other versions.
Oh, wow.
So again, right now we're making the base recipe, which is also a good recipe in its own right, which is the basic vanilla one, right? So from here, I have my chia seeds, half a cup. Mm-hmm. How I like to do this is initially, I just pour a little bit of the liquid in, and then I add my chia seeds, fork, start mixing that guy around. And then I start adding more. So you can see it yields a little over 4 cups. That's how much it makes.
Wow.
Now, from here, what we're going to do is make two other versions. We're going to make a chocolate peanut butter, and we're going to be making like a citrus matcha, okay? Now, you can totally stop here. You don't have to do any others, but depending on your mood, depending on your preferences, you can go ahead and like adapt as you see fit and make these two. So let's see here. I might do another measuring cup just to make it easier to eyeball. So, oh, and another tip that I want to share with you. So I've made this chia pudding, stirring it. Now we have to wait for it to gel, of course, and the gelling takes at least, I would say, an hour. I like to let it go overnight, but you don't have to wait that long. What I've found is really helpful is after you add the liquid to the chia seeds, stir after about 10 minutes, and then maybe stir after 20 minutes. It really helps to set evenly. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I have noticed that the chia seeds tend to like kind of form a really thick gel at the bottom. Nothing that's too terrible, but if you want it to be more even, stir. So I'm going to pour half of this in, and then we're going to do two versions. A little bit more, a little bit more. Yep, and already I can see the chia seeds starting to swell and get bigger. Yeah. Chia seeds are, I mean, in addition to just being kind of fun, like a fun mouthfeel and like an interesting texture, they're really good for your gut. Like that gelatinous texture that it creates, so soothing. It's also quite high in omega-3 fatty acids, which are not as easy to get in the plant kingdom. Yeah. So that's a real sell and a good source of protein. So we have in this recipe, we have cashew nuts and we have chia seeds. They combine forces and make a complete protein. Awesome. And I find that so easy with the snacks to get like a lot of carbs and a lot of fat, but it's not as easy to get more protein. So I wanted a couple recipes that kind of effortlessly had more of a protein content, right? Without it being, I don't know, so obvious. Like you could hard boil an egg and that's a great source of protein, but this is a little more less subtle or more subtle, I would say. So let's start with this guy first. We're going to make the matcha one. So for this matcha and citrus, we're going to take a tablespoon of matcha powder. Right in there. And about 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice. So matcha has a really grassy flavor and it can be quite bitter and astringent. I find that countering that with some citrus really helps to balance it. It adds some brightness. This is such a good either breakfast or afternoon snack when your energy is a little bit down, because remember, this matcha has some caffeine in it. Okay. And then I'm going to wait for this to set a little bit, but I really like to garnish things. I think it makes it a lot more beautiful. And how I would garnish this would be maybe a few slices of citrus fruit, like a tangerine or orange slices, maybe some blueberries, and then sprinkle on a little bit of matcha. So if this sets in time, I'll demo that. Ooh. And if we have time. Yeah. Okay, so the next one that we're going to do is the chocolate peanut butter one. And this one is my favorite. So right here, I have 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And pop this in. And it's in your best interest to use, high quality cocoa powder if you can. I find that Hershey's can be a little acrid. Even though that's probably the more readily available one. It doesn't have to be a super pricey cocoa powder, but yeah, it does make a difference in the end product of this recipe. And I find that you don't have to use as much sugar ultimately because it's such a high quality, if you are using a high quality cocoa powder. So just stirring this together.
Nice. Very good.
And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. One. And 2. And then just using my fork to sort of smash it around. Another thing that you can do if you wanted to make, say, a full batch of this, you could just add the peanut butter and the cocoa powder directly to the blender, and that will process it for you that way. And that'll be very easy. Okay, so so smashing up that peanut butter. And again, I'm using unsweetened for this.
Okay.
If you want some additional sweetness, I have in this recipe 1 tablespoon of maple syrup that you can also add. And how I like to garnish this, and again, like I'll hopefully be able to do it before the end of this class if it sets, is I like to do it with some sliced banana, maybe some coconut, some chopped peanuts. All of those go really well. Some apple. It can be one of those things, all of those things, none of those things. It's really your call. You're the boss. Yeah. But don't underestimate the power of a nice garnish. It adds beauty, it adds nutrition, and it adds texture. All of these are good things.